We'd like to start off with the sheriff, if he could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
We can have everybody rise. If you have a hat on, if you can remove your hat. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
So thank you to the board for allowing me to deliver this opening remarks here. I'm not much one for ceremonies, if people know me, but the ribbon cutting, I think, is a very important one, and I think it's important because it gives us the opportunity to communicate and articulate to the community why the government spent the resources and the energy to create this facility here. So I'd like to start with a quote from a person who has been at the highest levels of local government, has been highest levels of the private sector, was even in the office of the president. And I think she says it well when she says, when you're in local government, you're on the ground, and you're looking into the eyes and the hearts of the people who you're there to serve. And it teaches you to listen. Teaches you to be expansive with the people that you talk with. And I think that level of engagement gives you political judgment. So in this area of Santan Valley of about 120,000 people and of about 300,000 people at build-out, how does their government stay close enough to them to properly serve and represent them? And I think that this facility here is designed to do just that, to empower and to uphold the very pillars of our democracy. So, of course, as the sheriff has just led us, he's here as long as the Family Advocacy Center, which will help to protect people's personhoods, individual rights, property rights. We have the library, which is on the south side of the building, which will be opening in another session, that helps to create an educated and voting citizenry. And then probably most importantly, we have a community gathering room, and that will help empower the people to exercise their rights, to self-govern, to create their own destiny, and to organize and to advocate for a well-planned and a well-developed community. And so a great example of that, of course, is the Santan Valley Advisory Council. And I would think that they're here. I haven't seen them yet. Oh, there you are. Hey, Joseph. And then, of course, you have your local representative here for District 2, Supervisor Mike Goodman, who, as you've come to know over these past several years, is here to listen and to fight for you. So, Supervisor Goodman, if you want to come up and share a few thoughts.
Well, if that's the case, we're done. You know, I think when my brother Sam came to the house and was in the driveway, and we were talking with him, and he casually brought in, you need to run for supervisor almost 5 years ago. And, of course, I, like most people that run, don't really understand or grasp what that means, what the job entails, until you actually get in there. And so after that meeting, my wife and I, we looked at each other and thought, why not? And, you know, I never anticipated the blessings that would come into my life. And if you're a true elected official, you know what I'm talking about. If you're somebody that cares for people, you know what I'm talking about. And when you're in a position that you can actually do some good, and you use that ability to do good, to improve, it gives you a long-lasting satisfaction. Most of us here have experienced that. One thing that I do want to recognize is many of our elected officials that are here. You get it. You understand it. The ones that I've had the privilege and honor of rubbing shoulders with from our elected officials here in our county, they truly care. They truly care about the people they serve. I appreciate our neighboring communities that are here with us. We've got representatives from Florence, the town of Florence, from the town of Queen Creek that are here present. We have council members, our mayor from Queen Creek, Mayor Barney. Gail and I go way back to 1980. Gail, of course, he's a lot older than I, and so he was here much longer than I was. But at that time, a good, long relationship developed, and I appreciate that relationship. We haven't always had a good relationship with our neighboring communities, and that was something that was important to me, and it was important to our neighboring communities. And because of that, we've been able to accomplish a lot. You look at this building. We just broke ground on this a little over a year ago. That's amazing. Amidst COVID and everything else, this was accomplished because of great individuals and people that came together to make it happen. And that's what real government does. I wish to express my gratitude to our staff. I have been hounding for a library, amongst other things. Roads. Utility services, for over 5 years. And the reality of all of that, we're experiencing. Roads are coming. Utilities are improving much. We are improving. We've got the library now. And there's more yet to do and more yet to come. Leo mentioned bringing the government more closely to the people. There have been efforts made to incorporate this area. We've become an urbanized area. And the communities here, this community looks to the county to provide government for them. And it's just, there's some amenities and things that we just don't do. And so there's many things that needs to still be done, that we still have a long road ahead of us. But we cannot forget where we've been and where we are today. And without all of you present and even citizens that have rallied behind to get this done, this could have never happened without the people. Thank you for being here.
Well, let me say a few words. I first want to say I think Leo's really been listening to me a lot. He really came out with some good thoughts there. I appreciate, people don't know how Leo and I communicate on a real regular basis, and not necessarily about county government, but about governments in general. And it's always a pleasure to visit with him and hear his perspectives, and he certainly shared that with everybody today. Mike touched on something that I think is very important to elected officials, at least for me. One of the most rewarding things about being an elected official is helping an individual maneuver through government and the bureaucracies and get something done. And I take more pride and joy in accomplishing those small things that never get in the paper, never get told about, but it is really, truly one of the more rewarding things. Having a facility like this is going to give the citizens in this area far more access to their representative. And they will have an opportunity to voice their opinions, share their concerns, and to move forward with it. I think that that's probably one of the most important things, as I think has been mentioned by the other two speakers, is having access to your representative as an individual access to that representative of government to understand what how it's working and why it doesn't work or why it does work. So that community room that you have will be booked constantly. We have a small conference room in my office. It's constantly being asked to be used for those types of purposes too. These facilities are well worth the time and the money. Kent's going to speak about this Family Advocacy Center. It is huge that we're able to provide this type of service to this county overall. So, congratulations, Mike, on having a facility like this. And I hope the public takes advantage of it and uses it in the ways that it can be provided to you. So I'll let it go at that. I'm not a man of a lot of words, but this is truly well-deserved area, and is the citizenry in this area deserve this type of facility so they can have access to their government. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And let's hear from our County Attorney, Kent Volkmer.
So our chair didn't say his, I think, most famous phrase, and that is, we as a government don't provide widgets, we provide service. And that's really what this building does. It brings the service that we provide to our local residents. This is really the culmination of an idea that really spawned 20 plus years ago when Santan Valley first was considered, when the housing was still here. And for year after year after year, we as a government said, we need to eventually get something out there. We need to eventually get something. And finally, we have that something. I'd like to talk just a minute about the Advocacy Center and why it's so important. 20 years ago, roughly, my predecessors decided that we needed to provide services to victims in our community, to children, to women, to men that were victimized and abused. And they came up with the idea of creating a Family Advocacy Center. They put that in Eloy. And then about 8 years ago, my predecessor came in and said, look, we've got a population boom, and we need to put something up in this area of the county as well. So there was something that was developed, and it was done well, but there were issues with it, and we became homeless. About 4 years ago, if you were a victim and you needed a medical examination at the middle of the night or any other time, you couldn't get it done in our county. You had to go to North Scottsdale. You had to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, depending on where you're at in our county, in the middle of the night to go get a medical procedure or a medical service done. This building right here has a separate standing medical facility. It is the first one that has ever been designed by the county. This is something that is going to serve thousands and thousands of victims. It allows them to get services in their community. That is a testament to providing service to our constituents, service to our residents. I want to thank the staff, much like Supervisor Goodman, but I want to thank our government leaders for having the foresight, for being able to say now is the time. For 20 years, it's a good idea, it's a good idea. Finally, we had people say now it's the time. Our current board said, get it done. I want to thank Archie. Archie has led this. We are here today because this government is here to serve you, and it is my pleasure to serve as your county attorney. And with that, I am also very honored to invite people to come up and grab these gold scissors. So as I call your name, I'm going to ask that you please come up, grab your gold scissor, and then we're going to walk over to the red tape.
1, 2, 3.